Amber and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to do my spring quarterly book haul. So I at the beginning of the year had decided that I wanted to obtain less books and focus on my own TBR, and so I decided I wanted to try to do less book hauls and focus more on like library books and the books I owned and all of that jazz. And I decided I wanted to move my book hauls to more quarterly book hauls. So that being said, I have kind of broken this down into books I have pre-ordered and acquired and gotten through friends or gifts and stuff like that. So with that being said, let's get started. The first category is obviously the easiest one, and that is books I pre-ordered ahead of time. I love a good pre-order, I love a good new release, and so there were a couple of books I was eyeing as they were coming out that I definitely had to pre-order and have for my shelves because I knew that I wanted to read them shortly after they came out or at some point in the near future. So books that I pre-ordered were for the second volume of Check Please. This is the second and I believe end of this series for Check Please. I really enjoyed volume 1, part 1 of Check Please, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Biddy and his rest of college experience goes. And honestly, when I read the second volume, I'm going to read the first volume again with it just to re-experience this whole thing together. And actually the book out of the pre-order section that I have had as a pre-order for the longest time is Ghost Squad by Clarabel Ortega. This one is one that I basically hit pre-order the second there was a available link for it because this book had sounded so up my alley, and I was correct, but this isn't a wrap up. Basically, this book is pitched as Stranger Things meets Coco, and with a tagline of "Be prepared, respect the dead, and always have a cat." It was definitely something that I needed to read immediately, and it is a wonderful middle grade. But again, this isn't a wrap up. I'm just here to haul this book and say that I own it. And I guess we should get the obvious one out of the way. I definitely picked up a copy of House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, the first book in the Crescent City series. I honestly haven't gotten to this one yet, and honestly all I know about it is it's urban fantasy, and I have loved quite a bit of Sarah J. Maas in my time, and I cannot wait to dive into this one at some point and have it either be something I absolutely love or something I absolutely am very middle of the road about, but I'm very looking forward to it either way. And the very last book in the pre-order section is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and if that doesn't sound up your alley, I don't know how to sway you in another direction. Grady Hendrix has a knack for writing interesting paranormal horror books. I've only read one, and that was Horror Store, and I still think about it to this day. I have been dying to read more of Grady Hendrix, and this new release was about vampires, and that is like so up my alley. Next, we're going to talk about the books that I just happened to acquire through the first quarter of the year, and I was actually pretty good about this. There's a couple that I had picked up shortly after the release or picked up for a specific reason, and those books are Heartstopper Volume 3. I actually did not know that this one had released, and so that's why I hadn't pre-ordered it. This is the third volume in the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman, and this is the prequel graphic novel series to the standalone novel Solitaire by Alice Oseman, and it's about two boys who become friends and potentially possibly something more. And I've been really enjoying the series, and it's one of my favorite graphic novels at this point, and I had been looking forward to the next installment. And again, if I had known this one was coming out, I probably would have pre-ordered it, but I ended up picking it up just when I heard it was out. So I ended up picking this one up, and I need to get to this still. Next I have Criers War, which is a 2019 sci-fi debut, and I've actually read this one already, and it was wonderful. It's sapphic, and it involves humans and androids, and this was a wonderful pick for me trying to get into more sci-fi books this year. And again, that's part of the reason that I picked this one up, because it had sounded so up my alley, and I ended up reading this as part of the buddy read, so it was extra like worth having, and I had used a gift card on it, and it was like half price at the time, and it was a really great choice in my opinion. Next I have The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. Honestly, this one is pitched as Nor Warrior could stop the rising dead, but perhaps a Graveyard Digger could, and this one gives me so many necromancy vibes, and that is honestly all I needed to be sold on this one. And I haven't picked it up yet, but like I just sometimes need books with like necromancy vibes on my TBR for when I get into like the necromancy moods. This one Might get read sooner than later, but I'm very glad that I own it now. Next I have The Beautiful Ones, which is about a world of masks and etiquette, and no one is quite what they seem, and I have had quite a few books by this author on my TBR. However, I know that once they kind of go out of print, they kind of go out of print. And the last category I have is gifts, and these are basically books that my partner got me, because sometimes my partner gets me books that I'm like eyeballing in the bookstore, and that is always nice. And I had friends send me books, which is always a wonderful surprise. And so the first book I want to talk about is the signed copy of The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. My partner heard me raving about the Poppy War, and I was talking about how I wanted to pick up the sequel, and I had been eyeing this when we were in Barnes & Noble, and he ended up picking it up for me, and that it was just really sweet, and we were on a date, so it was just like extra sweet. So, and the Poppy War is based on 20th century China, but also with a mix of gods and monsters, and I was pleasantly surprised by the first book, and I cannot wait to dive into the sequel, though I heard that the wait for the last book is like strong, so I probably will put this one off until closer to the release date. And the other book that my partner got me was Scavenged the Stars by Terrorism. This is a gender-bent Count of Monte Cristo with a demisexual protagonist, and I've read Count of Monte Cristo. It's on that shelf over there, and I loved it. It was dramatic, it was beautiful, I had a great time. So when I saw this one like coming out and it had a demisexual protagonist, I was like, I need to read that with every fiber of my being. And when I was explaining this to my partner was like, here you go, and got it for me, and it just was a great time. And I haven't read this yet. I should probably do that. My partner gets me books and I don't read them. I think it's because I'm worried that I'm not going to like them as much now that my partner has gotten me them, but that is what it is. So I'm excited to pick this one up eventually. Next, I have The 13th Child by Patricia C. Ward. This is a gift from Murphy Napier. She ended up getting this one when she was reading this book, and we were supposed to buddy read it, and then she got further than me and ended up DNFing it for now during this time period where I was like not having like a good time reading anything. And this is a middle grade book written by an author of a middle grade series that I really enjoyed. That being said, I'm looking forward to picking this one up at some point in the future. And the very last book I have to haul for you today is a book from my friend Leah, who loves to get me books for every occasion. However, this one is not a Rick Riordan book for once, because I actually have them all and I actually have been reading them up to like date, which is great because otherwise I'd be behind. But in actuality, it is Grave Maidens. This is about 3 chosen maidens, 2 lovely sisters, and 1 dark tradition. And this was a 2019 debut, and I love this cover. I'm so excited to pick it up, and I'm just so grateful for Leah. She ended up getting this for me for my birthday, which is coming up, and it was just an early birthday gift because of everything going on with like postal, and she wanted to make sure it was here before my birthday, and she's just wonderful, and I love her so much. And I'm gonna read a non-Rick Riordan book for my friend Leah for once. So these are all of the books that I've hauled since the beginning of the year. I'm honestly pretty content because at this point last year I had probably done like 2 or 3 book hauls and several unhauls, and I'm content. I'm probably gonna do an unhaul soon because I'm itching to purge my shelves, but we'll see. Probably not gonna be hauling as many books next quarter, and that is totally okay. But what about you? What have you hauled recently? I'm looking forward to hearing what your most recently acquired book is. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like what you saw here today, be sure to like and subscribe. I normally post videos on Wednesdays. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.